welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brittany and I'm all about helping new content creators and new UGC creators navigate their journey, and I also provide a little bit of productivity tips in the mix as well. Today I'm going to be talking about a super important topic, which is staying authentic when it comes to having sponsored content and, staying true with your brand identity. So let's get right on into it. So sponsored content is a great way to monetize your platforms on social media, but it is also essential to stay true to your brand. It's best to stay authentic when in your content, no matter what it is you're doing. Authenticity is what attracted your audience. Authenticity is what keeps them coming back. So now it's come down to the question of how do you balance both? So first things first, to know your brand identity, to know, what you stand for when it comes to your content, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Questions like, what are my core values? What messages do I maybe want to convey? And who is my target audience? I think those are like the essential questions that you should ask yourself when it comes to branding and staying authentic to who you are and your content. So I would have these three questions in the back of my head when you come in contact with a partnership with a brand. And then, if you get a brand reach out to you and they're wanting to do some content, ask yourself these questions. Does this align with my core values? Will this be relatable or needed in my target audience? And does this still convey the message that I want to share with my audience in my content? If none of those boxes are checked, it is definitely okay to say no and move on. That way, in turn, your audience can, appreciate you staying true to who you are instead of trying to branch out and do other things that you don't normally do and that your audience isn't really wanting just because you're trying to get sponsorships. The next thing I would suggest is to be very selective with your sponsorship deal. Not every brand is going to be a perfect fit, and that's completely okay. That's kind of tying into what I just previously said in the first section, because if it doesn't align with you, it is definitely okay to say no. You don't have to be a yes man saying yes to every brand that comes your way, because if it doesn't align with what you're already doing and it kind of throws your content out of whack because you're so used to doing this, your audience is so used to seeing this, and then you pop up on something completely brand new, that's most likely going to turn off the people that are coming back to your content, because that's something that you haven't normally done, or it's just something in general that you haven't let your audience know of. Like if you're wanting to do like a different direction with your content or something, I definitely, if you have these people that you've built in your community and you are sharing this content that is relatable and that they're actually wanting to see, it's definitely a good idea to kind of talk to them first before making any kind of drastic changes like that. So that's why I say, if it just doesn't align with who you are and what you want to do content wise, it is definitely okay to say no. It will be best to get sponsorships or actually partake in sponsorships or partnerships with brands and products and services that actually align with who you are and what your audience is wanting from you. Like if you are a wellness creator and you get a sponsorship from a fitness gear brand or a protein shake brand or whatever, that is still aligns with what you're trying to convey within your content. So just keep that in mind when you are reaching out to brands and when brands reach out to you as well, because that's something that you don't want to change up too much, especially when you're already known for doing a specific type of content. Another thing that I would recommend is being transparent with your audience. All of these tips I think will definitely tie in all together, but I feel like you definitely need to be transparent with your audience when it comes to stuff like this. Let your audience know. Normally, when you are, posting sponsor content, you're supposed to have that it's like a paid partnership or sponsor like somewhere, or like have the tag of ad in there somewhere. Just be upfront about your partnerships with your audience, which I say normally you will have to put in there that it's a paid partnership anyway, but just be upfront about it. If you want to, you can do a separate thing, or just talk to them, communicate to them why you want to do this partnership and how you think it will be beneficial for them as well. Tie them into all of that, because at the end of the day, that's why they're coming back to your page in the first place. And again, this can build trust within your audience and your community, and it will keep people coming back because they know that you're honest and you're trying to be as honest and as authentic and true to yourself in what you're trying to do here they're gonna see that, and that's what's gonna keep them wanting to come back also. Right, the next thing I want to talk about is integrating stuff naturally. That, being said, if you have like a partnership or a sponsored piece of content that you're posting, make sure it doesn't throw off the vibe or aesthetic that you're going for. And let me explain that a little. I would say this, maybe instead of trying to do something like drastically different from what you already do, kind of just integrate that with how your normal filming style is, your normal editing style is, your normal like a video appearance or whatever you're trying to do. Make sure it's still kind of what you already do in the first place, and you just happen to have this product and or using this service, and it still feels like it's your piece of content, and it doesn't feel like, oh, she's getting paid for that content. Like, and I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. It just should be something that is genuine and shows your, natural reactions and natural, things that you would normally say and what your audience is used to you saying. Still keep that up no matter what the product and or service is that you're talking about in your sponsor content, but make sure that it still it can go along with your other content and can still be received by your audience the way you would want it to be. I think the main thing I want to say is to make sure it doesn't look forced. Yeah, I think I want to say that, make sure that if you're doing some sponsor content or something, that it doesn't feel forced. It still feels authentic. It still feels like you would actually use this product and or service, and that you would want the people that follow you to do the same, just because, it's helped you in some way, shape, or form, and you want it to help them the same way. So I think the biggest thing I want to say for this part is to not make your content look forced. Because if it had to be forced, 9 times out of 10, it's not the right type of content, not the right type of product and or service that you're used to, and your audience can tell that. Another thing I would recommend, and I really needed to hear this when I first started my UGC journey, is to not make all your content look sponsored. I feel like at the beginning of my UGC journey, I needed to have a UGC example every day. I need to have one posted every day. And I feel like that's what hindered me so much when I first started, because I really went into UGC like, yeah, I just need to make these UGC examples. I need to reach out to brands. I need to make a portfolio. And that's what's going to get me my work. Baby, no, that's not it. You have to actually, if you have your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, your Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, you have to actually start somewhere first before having all of this sponsor content. When they say pick a niche, they're not playing pick a niche. Okay, because when you have a niche, you can put out any type of video that you find will be relatable and that you love, you genuinely, have some type of passion for, and you can just talk about that topic for, it doesn't even matter if you have a sponsor piece of content or not. You can get some type of content out that is going to attract people and going to be relatable to those people. And then when you do have a sponsored piece of content, you can just throw that in there as well. And if you don't have any sponsor content yet, or if you don't have any partnerships yet, and you're wanting to know, what kind of things to post, first thing I would recommend is to find a niche. Once you find a niche that you can maybe do videos of on your own that aren't UGC examples, do that every once in a while. Well, not every once in a while, at least maybe once a week. Put out a UGC example that can be, that can appear to be like a sponsor content post. So you can just get in the habit of making sponsored type posts that are not actually sponsored, but can put you in the mind of you working with a brand. Whether if you're in the skincare niche, you want to do your daily routines throughout your day or whatever for your pieces of content, and then one day you might want to do focus on the skincare product that you use, like whether that be your face wash, a moisturizer, or a makeup product. Like, have that product be like the focal point of your video, and then that can be like your sponsor content until you actually get sponsor content. And I hope that all makes sense. If it did not, please let me know in the comments and I can help you out there. But in all, I feel like doing that before you actually get sponsor content will actually make your page not look so overly commercialized, like you are literally just trying to get sponsored content, which I know that's the goal, but make sure you are trying to like build, and make sure you're trying to actually reach people instead of just trying to put out paid ad examples all the time, because you're going to get burnt out. You're not going to want to do it anymore. It's not going to be fun. Trust me, I've been there. I almost stopped UGC because of that, but you really have to do things within your niche that are comfortable for you and something that can be relatable and perceived by others like you would want it to be. Another thing I would suggest is to pay attention to your audience feedback. If people are, looking at your content and they can just tell that you're doing too much with the sponsored content, they will likely let you know, or you will see a dip in your engagement, in your viewer activity, because they will see that like this girl is doing way too much. She's literally just trying to do this to get money. She really don't care, which I know that's not the case, but it can come off that way, especially if you're like overly doing it, like, oh, okay, here's another one. But if you do get comments from your audience or anything like that, just take that all into consideration when you sit down and film in front of the camera. Because 9 times out of 10, if you keep doing that despite your audience feedback, they're just gonna leave. They're gonna find someone else, and they're just gonna say, well, she was cool, but then she got big-headed, or whatever the case is. And that shouldn't be the case when it comes to creating your content, and you want to keep your audience because you did a lot of hard work to get them in the first place. So definitely listening to them and talking to them, and being one with each other, if that makes sense. Go ahead and just listen to what they have to say, because they are the ones that are coming for your content anyway. So definitely hear them out when they're trying to tell you something. Also, consider building long-term relationships with brands that align with your core values. I know this is easier said than done, but once you find a brand that you have worked with, or a brand that you would like to work with, try to keep reaching out to them. Or if you already have their products, go ahead and occasionally make sponsored like content for their brand, and likely or hopefully you'll be able to work with them for real, and you can have a long-term relationship with them, whereas you either have a contract that is for a certain amount of time, or whenever they have a new campaign running, you guys can work together in some way, shape, or form, whether that be gifted or paid collaboration. But if it's something that truly you feel aligns with your brand, your audience, your authenticity, definitely try to reach out to those people and see if you can make something work, because you typically want to make content and reach out to brands that align with you and as well as your audience. All right, and this is the final tip, which is pretty much summarizing all the tips that I just said here. Just remember, honestly, just remember to stay true to who you are and your authenticity when it comes to creating content and building your brand as a content creator. Working with sponsors is literally just about balance. Like I said, if you are going the route where you don't really have a lot of partnerships or a lot of brands reaching out to you, and you haven't heard it back from any of the ones that you have reached out to, don't let that discourage you. Just find a product that you already have by a brand you already love within your niche, and make some content on that. Don't try to overdo it with the sponsored type content, because you're going to get burned out, because I've been there. Make sure you make some related content within your niche that can be relatable, and it's easy for you to do, it's fun for you to do, so you don't have to feel like you have to sell all the time or make ad like content all the time, because you don't, and you will get burnt out. So keep that in mind when you are working with sponsors or have partnership deals with these brands, because your audience can tell, especially if you build up a nice following because of your authenticity and what it is you can bring to your content and what people can get out of it. So definitely keep that in mind when you are working with brands or reaching out to brands for sponsorships. All right, and that's all I have for today's video. I hope you found at least one of these tips helpful and that you can use this in your content moving forward. If you found this video helpful, do please leave me a like. I would really appreciate it, and it really helps me out. Also, if you have any questions below, or if you have any other tidbits that you want to add to the mix, definitely leave them down below in the comments. Also, Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content creator tips and tricks just like this one. And don't forget to hit your notification bell so you don't miss an update from me, which I currently am posting every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That all being said, thanks for watching, and I will see you all on my next video. Peace.